IBM Security Division is uniquely positioned to detect bad incidents that are happening on networks across the world. Why do we say that? Well, for once we have in Germany a crawler technology that scans more than 10 billion URLs for bad behavior. In fact, it is the second largest IP reputation database in the whole world, second only to Google. But we also, in our own network, receive attempts to do intrusion on our network, more than 150 million of them every day. So when bad guys perpetrate attacks, we tend to see what those attacks are. We also see in our network more than 40 billion attempts daily on spam, phishing, and other type of attacks. We have documented in the X-Force more than 46,000 vulnerabilities. We have a dark net that is a honeypot or strategically positioned IP addresses that when somebody goes there, nobody should be going there because those addresses do not have any resolution on the net. Somebody goes there, we investigate what they're doing because most likely it's not something good. But we also have more than 20,000 IP-like devices that we manage for our customers. We host the network of almost 4,000 of those customers. So this is huge. So it's a lot of exposure that we actually get to see when attacks are coming. Our SOC gets more than 9 billion events every day. We are in 133 countries, so whenever anything is happening anywhere around the world, guess what? We get to actually see when those things are actually kind of happening. What do we do with all that information? Well, not only we feed all that intelligence into our products, but we also produce for our customers something that is very appreciated called the X-Force report. And the X-Force report begins with a chart where we show all the attacks, the major attacks, the top 10 attacks that happen in a particular year, and we put it compared to last year. So what was the number one attack last year? Incredibly was SQL injection. I said incredibly because nobody should be suffering for this. AppScan has been for years helping customers to scan their source code or dynamically if you don't have the source code of the application and detect input field that is not properly validated and makes it susceptible to these type of attacks. Our IPSs, our intrusion prevention appliances, for years have been stopping these type of attacks. And our SIEM QRadar can not only detect the presence of those attacks, but also can help you determine the scope of such. It allows you to very easily, with a very intuitive GUI, to investigate those attacks. Second on the list is HTTP suspicious unknown content. And this is really when your machine becomes, by the drive-by download or by spear phishing, becomes victim of, under the control of part of a botnet. And this, people send very cleverly, they investigate about you and your company, and they send you, this is what they call spear phishing, they send you an email that looks so credible that people click on it. And when they do, they download the malicious content that make the machine a slave of a network. So now, definitely you should have in your company a good training program for teaching people where not to click. But even when you have that, you may have some attacks so cleverly made that some people fall to those attacks. Then is when you want to have a technology like BigFix. These are endpoint protection that can detect and actually eliminate, like we done on the flashback attack, even on the Mac, when we can detect the presence of malware, of malicious files, antivirus, etc. All that technology is in our endpoint, and it can actually allow you to react to those attacks, and is your best ally when something bad is happening on your network and you want to actually clean up. You want to have a technology like BigFix. but our IPSs have also been for years detecting and stopping these type of attacks, and our QRadar technology can help us perform the investigation of such attacks. Number 3 in the list is SQL Slammer. This is actually a term that was coined by our folks in the X-Force, and it's actually an attempt to create a buffer overflow on the SQL server in order to get a remote shell and control the machine. Well, guess what? I mean, we coined the term, and we've been for years, our IPSs have been stopping these type of attacks, and so has been our SIEM QRadar can actually detect the attack and allows you to investigate the nature of it. Third on the list are what is called SNMP crack. Well, SNMP is a monitoring technology that has existed for years. All the many devices and applications actually have SNMP support, and so you can configure them and monitor them, etc. Well, these are attempts that hackers do in try to change the configuration of the box or kill the box in order to produce some sort of a denial of service attack. So again, our QRadar technology has been for years. It can detect who is actually using SNMP. You may not know it is, but Q1 does. It can actually detect when SNMP traffic is actually going outside your network. That's actually very suspicious. It can detect when somebody is having multiple login failures. That reveals that somebody might be trying to do trying to log into your device. Next one on the list is HTTP get.data. This is a very old attack as well, in which people try to bypass the access control that you have on your system by going through the URLs and actually traverse your file directory. If you are not doing input field validation in the right way, well, you're susceptible to that. And if you guess that AppScan can help you there, it can and has been doing this for quite some time actually. It's great technology for preventing this and many other type of attacks. Next on the list is cross-site scripting. Again, a very old type of attack, and that AppScan can really tells you whether your application has input fields that are vulnerable to these type of attacks. And our IPSs have actually been detecting and stopping this type of attack. But now there's even something interesting, which is now AppScan can tell our IPS dynamically, say, well, I just detected that there is a vulnerability, that I have a vulnerability to this type of specific traffic going on this IP or this port or this characteristic, and while somebody fixes the code, please, Mr. IPS, block those from me because they are not going to be doing any good. And our IPS now has the network anomaly detection capability, which is actually fantastic. It can detect things like, let's say that a particular host in my network is giving a peak of traffic, let's say 200%, 300% increase that we haven't seen in the last 3 months, and in the last 2 hours that traffic actually jumped. Well, that is something that is anomaly. It's an anomaly, and our IPSs can actually, with the new network anomaly detection, can actually tells you why that is. And this is not because you are selling more, you have a seasonal event that actually explains that. It can tell you, for example, when a particular organization that never done FTP traffic before, all of a sudden is doing some FTP traffic. That might be something fishy going on out there. It can detect that some of your machines are actually talking to IPs that are in a country that you don't do business with. That might be bad on itself. That can also be that your machine has been compromised. For example, it can notice that you have chat traffic being used on a non-standard point. That's the port. That's the standard way that botnets communicate with their masters. So it can detect all those things with the network anomaly detection. So next on the list is SSH brute force attacks. Well, SSH is like SNMP, something that some people need to remotely manage some devices to actually perform a login into the box in a secure way. Well, if you don't need SSH, you should disable it. But if you need it, maybe you don't know that you need it. And a technology like QRadar can actually detect who's actually doing SSH in your network. It can also detect, like in the case of SNMP, oh, there are a lot of failing login attempts here. Might be that somebody's trying to crack an SSH password. Make sure that if you use it, you use a very strong password, very, very strong, because you don't want to fall into victim of rainbow tables. Would be commonly used password, or if you use some sort of PKI or second factor authentication to do the SSH in a secure way. Next on the list is HTTP Unix password. Well, this is a classic attempt where hackers try to get the etc password file, and that password file is typically all the passwords are hashed, and people feel secure because I'm using a very strong, pure, good algorithm that never been broken with a very long key. So nobody's going to be able to detect that. Well, guess what? People use common passwords. And with Rainbow Table is basically something that somebody compute all the common password. They did the hash of those passwords, and all you need to do is look at the hash and do a lookup on your Rainbow Table, and if you find a match, well, you know what password that person used. So people should use salted password. I mean, before I started using the encryption of the hashing of the actual passwords, I'm going to salt them with a particular variable that is unique to my case that will defeat the Rainbow Table. That will make all those hash unique. Our IPSs have actually for years been detecting these type of attempts, and has been helping customers for years stop this type of traffic. Next on the list is shell command injection, and here's where people try to use in C functions like system, or any scripting using stuff like exec to try to get control of the operating system. And again, AppScan can easily detect whether you have input fields that are susceptible to this type of attacks. And QRadar is actually quite good to detect that this is actually happening, and it can actually allows you to determine the scope and investigate the event in a very intuitive manner. Last on the list is the proxy bound deep. But what this is people use proxies. Some people use them in countries that they want to hide their tracks because there's no free speech. And but in many cases, this is actually used by bad guys who try to hide their tracks as well. And particularly when they use long chains of proxies in order to hide their tracks. Well, for years, our IPSs have been monitoring that type of traffic, and QRadar can actually detect when this type of attacks is suspicious, and QRadar is extremely good of taking events like those 9 billion events that I told you that IBM gets in a daily basis and reduce them to 10, 15, 20 offenses. There are things, these are not false positive, fellow. This is something that you really deserve to investigate. So that filtering is actually done by our QRadar. So nobody should be a victim of this type of attack. We have technology that can help customers out there on that. Thanks for watching.